the 49ers training camp, right? So
Yeah.
the big talk is going into training camp is definitely going to be Trey Lance, right? So that's definitely be a topic. But the biggest topic right now, leading up to training camp, is Deebo Samuel's contract. What do you think happens with Deebo Samuel's contract? Does it get done before training camp? Does he sit out a day? Does he show up to practice and not practice? Well, what happens with Deebo Samuel if a contract doesn't get done by that
Yeah.
deadline, which is on Tuesday, correct?
Yep, August 26th is the deadline. And I personally am of the belief that Deebo Samuel will be extended before training camp starts. I think that Deebo Samuel will not touch on the football field before he gets that new contract. I know we've talked about this before. I think if Deebo Samuel doesn't get that contract, he'll essentially hold in. He'll report to camp, but he won't practice, similar to how he did during mandatory minicamp, where he was reporting to camp, but also just on the sidelines doing his own work. I think that that'll happen. But everything we've heard, the relationship is amicable, and all the dominoes that have needed to fall have fallen. We've seen contracts for A.J. Brown and Terry McLaurin more recently pop up. Those are the baseline contracts for a Deebo Samuel extension in terms of the money guaranteed, in terms of the signing bonus, in terms of all the major numbers. Those are the baseline talks. Whereas a lot of the other contracts that happened were because of other reasons. Players had a different extension before that gets the contract to a certain number. So to me, I'm using those two numbers, and with that in mind, you can get a Deebo Samuel type of extension done. That has been done, but also I think that Deebo Samuel he wants to be on the field. He reported to minicamp, unlike the other receivers who hadn't gotten a contract extension. And the Kyle Shanahan talk about Deebo Samuel really indicated to me that this extension will be done. News kind of did come out in a way. Deebo Samuel has shown up in San Francisco this past week. He's training in the Bay Area, and his trainer did release a video saying he's going to get paid.
I saw that video, but the thing is so a lot of 49er fans, right? They came out like, "Oh, Debo's in NSF. He's gonna get extended." He's actually has like a camp for the kids
Yeah,
today that he had going on. So that's why he was in San Francisco. He was getting everything like all those little wrinkles out for that camp. So like, let's just be clear. Like, there's probably stuff like getting worked out with the contract and everything. But he also had a camp. So like, we can't speculate in terms of Debo's gonna get done. I know the 49ers did they did want the contract done by Saturday, so which is tomorrow. Um, Now the likelihood of that happening, I don't know, but I was told that 49ers wanted Saturday was like a kind of like a deadline for the 49 for the organization standpoint to get something done, but it gives them a couple days to write. So like they wanted Saturday to have it pretty much done, but it gives them 3 days to figure
right.
something out
3 days
before then.
extra.
So that was like their timeline from what I was told. I think he gets extended as well, right? Like at the end of the day, you got to keep playmakers. You got to keep the best players on your team. You keep the guys around you happy. There's frustration around the organization, from what I was told, right? There's a lot of frustration. Players are frustrated with how contracts work, how their
Yeah,
contracts are being situated in the 49ers organization. They understand the 49ers like to do business on their terms, and they like to go free agency or draft free agency and then extend players right before the deadline. But players don't like that. These players like getting this money before they start offseason training. And the reason is because if they get injured during the offseason training, that guaranteed money isn't there, right? So like they're
right.
putting all this work during the offseason, and if they get injured, then next thing you know, they don't have any guaranteed money on their contract. So this is why players are frustrated. They rather have that extension prior to them starting to bust their butts, right? So I personally think Debo gets extended, like you. I think he might hold in. I think that's the most logical scenario. But I really want the 49ers to extend him before training camp starts because Debo Samuel has missed a lot of quality time with Trey Lance. We need that every rep in camp
Exactly.
that they get, that timing down, that chemistry they could get. So that's something that I really